share with you not just advice, but myself. Every relationship advice video that was published to you was a piece of the puzzle of my experience added up to this very moment. Here is the entire picture. What I'm going to share with you guys is I'm pretty sure it's going to be a shocker, and I will not expose anybody. I will keep certain people's information and identity secured. This is about me, not about them. I will speak briefly on what I have done, what I have learned, what I've been through. But for other individuals, I would not disclose any sort of information, because again, it's not about them but about me. This will actually be maybe my second time doing this about relationships from my experiences. The one that I did before was just about like my life before I got arrested, and then my life during the process of being incarcerated. But this is more of a relational view. Prior to February of 2010, I was curious about couples living together. At the time, I wasn't living with a couple. I wasn't even involved. But a lot of my friends were, and I was just curious on asking them. I was just asking them, like, wondering, like, how is it, or what is like having a family like, or what are kids like, you know. And again, I was very curious. I wasn't just going to just up and stay with someone and do that, whatever, but apparently things were kind of changed around in my life. I met a very cool female friend at my job, and she was friendly to everybody, including me, while other ladies there judged me and criticized me on things, rumors and stuff being spread, false rumors being spread about me. It was not true at all, and it would simply deteriorate the outlook, how people looked at me at work, especially women that I wanted to be friends with. But she was different. She didn't pay attention. She wanted to see for herself, but she took matters close into her own hands. And she was a beautiful woman, very kind-hearted, didn't judge, didn't criticize. She was very ambitious on helping people, and that's what kind of drew me to her. When I first seen her, I thought she was like a little girl working at the job. I'm like, who is this? Who is this middle schooler here? Like, she should be in school. And I'm like, oh, so. And I know how other people were, and the first thing that I told her was, don't share your business with anybody here, because I know how they are. I've been there for about that job for about like maybe 3 or 4 years. And me and her got close. We became good friends. At that time, she did have someone. She did have a kid at the time, and I was just wanting to be friends. Other guys and people there wanted to get more intimate with her, but she was like, you know, just on a friendship level, same thing as me. We was on the same level together, and we just connected. Like, we just connect. Then coming upon the discovery that I heard some bad news about the relationship between her and the one she was with, and it was sad. Again, I will not disclose certain information dealing with the respect of this individual, but it was a sad story, and I just came to her aid because I knew she needed somebody. And again, it was all just friendship, because I know that it's a dark place when you are alone in life, when you're used to having somebody. This little fly. So months, the same year, 2010, but this months later, the place that I was currently staying at, I had to be moved. Dealing with some circumstances, I had to be moved. My only hope was to move further south, and then from there go overseas to where my family is located. But and when I told her the information, she said that why don't you come stay with me? She has a place in her home. She has another place. I mean, she has another room in her place. I was like, I wasn't too sure about it. Jesus, it's like they're having a party around here. I wasn't too sure about that because of the situation, like, you know, her ex and stuff, and I don't want no drama or anything like that. So I just decided to, like, okay, like, this may be a hard thing for me to do, but I'm gonna go ahead and stick with it. So I said, okay, fine, I'll go ahead and move in with you. And I was scared, but at the same time I was happy because what I was so curious about, it finally was in my hands. But just a kind woman to actually allow a friend to stay with her, it shows some sort of like significant purpose and so much of an importance of how she really treated her friends with such value. And a lot of people will find that very rare, but with her it wasn't. It was just awesome, and still to this day she still is. But I just hope that when bad times come for some people, you know, we may change to be someone who we are not. We start to become more of a nemesis or a tyrant than someone that we're supposed to be, like being beautiful, that can simply change. And sometimes, like with the story, I'm not getting off the subject, I'm gonna get back into it, but like with the story of the book of Ruth, a woman by the name of Naomi, which means joy. She went through a bad situation, and now I heard she changed her name into Mara. Mara means bitter. So she came from having joy in her life, being joy, to being bitter about the things that she lost and what she'd been through. And sometimes we have to keep our name and not let life change our name for us. And I just hope that her name stays the same. I hope that nothing happens to nobody, to you, to me, nothing, that we are still beautiful people. For the Father will give us a crown of beauty and wipe away the ashes. So upon packing up my bags, like most guys, you know, when we move, we got like 2 or 3 bags. We don't really carry much things, but that can be different. But some guys are like, you know, just get the whole house, 15 trucks. I really didn't have that because I really didn't have much stuff. It was just my writings, my books, my materials, my clothing. That was it. Just 2 or 3 bags, that's all. And I moved in with her. Prior to that, I believe a couple of weeks ago, it was actually my first time coming by, and seeing her son was happy, was joyful. He was a really beautiful kid, awesome boy, and she cooked for me, and I just like returned the favor and washed the dishes. You know, that's the best thing that I could do. But great hospitality. And so I made the choice to move in with her, and I seen the room that I was staying in. I'm like, okay, but it's just like I wanted someone like to be involved. In 4 years, well, was it 4 years? Maybe like 4 or 5 years. I've been kind of like single. I've been not dating, but like going out with different women, having fun. Nothing intimate, nothing like that, but just having fun. And one of the first real relationships I had was when I was in high school. I was kind of like my first crush, and she was an awesome woman too, but we was just clash. We was like Clash of the Titans, I mean, you know, like a boxing match without fighting. And never wasn't into any physical altercation, nothing like that. Altercation at all. It wasn't no fight, nothing like that. It was just arguing. I'm like, I can't deal with this, man. Like, I don't know if it was pride or if it was me. I don't know, but we just had to just end it from there. And oh man, but but she's still a good lady. She has a beautiful family, a wonderful husband. But all blessings to those ladies. Okay, now as me moving into that home, nice home, man. That night, I didn't stay in the room where I was supposed to be in. I didn't. I actually stayed with her, and one thing led to another. I wanted her for myself. It kind of became selfish in our relationship. I kind of became selfish. She was more free spirited. I know that she was very attractive. I know that she was like a man's best friend, and guys would just approach her, talk to her. To me, that was kind of a threat because I didn't know who this guy was. You know, one of the mistakes that Adam made was allowing the enemy to talk to his wife, but he was there. I kind of had that trust factor where it's like I really didn't trust dudes at all around the woman that I love. But then again, being selfish wasn't the right thing because, you know, love is not selfish. I was. And I became a little bit protective over her, a little bit too protective. It wasn't more controlling. I'd rather control obstacles and outcomes than control a person because robots can't be controlled. Robots can't love either. It was messed up for me because I know that she didn't deserve that, especially from a previous relationship before me. But again, people make mistakes and we have to learn from them. There was a Latin proverb. It says, don't just learn your mistakes, but learn from others. And that's exactly what I did. But then again, I kind of had the experience of my own. And that was one of the mistakes I made, was not putting God first in what I was doing. I mean, by myself, single, yes, but in relationships, it's like I became first. And that's a mistake that I have made without looking at someone else. I wasn't the kind of person to listen. It was always me speaking. It was like what I say, you know, it goes. And if it didn't go my way, it was more of an attitude. To be honest with you, I did not know where that come from. I didn't. And it was just, I look at that stuff now, man. It was just wrong on my end. In the first months, she would test me to see if I was actually abusive, to see if I was going to hit her or beat her kid. And I'm a big guy, and I'm like, if I do that, like, somebody's going to die. I mean, I pray to God, like, pray for me. But honestly, I didn't do that. I was close to actually walking out for good. And she will provoke me, not physically, but start things just to see, you know. And I understand why some women would do that, but just to test it out, just to see. And again, I didn't lay my hands on no one. That's not what I do. Well, I would get angry. Anybody would get angry when they're provoked in a bad way. Sometimes cursing, yelling, slamming doors, you know, hitting walls, whatever. I didn't do that. Like, I didn't want to break anything up, but walking out was like my only option. Or rather just go out and just clear my head, receive clarity, and then come back in being refreshed. So that's what I did, and she kind of stopped. And she didn't tell me this until like years later. I'm like, really, girl? Like, you? But I didn't. I mean, it was all good from there. And it was some people in the family that kind of wasn't sure about me because of how her past was. And sometimes when you receive one bad apple, doesn't mean that the entire tree is bad. But then again, a lot of people will be misinformed and could, you know, misjudge you until they actually see better. And that's what I showed better. And sometimes I will beat myself up just to be perfect. And sometimes I will still do that. Again, this is really me talking about my experiences, my story, my relationships. This is actually way before I even started this relationships video, even before I started YouTube, period. And if you guys are watching, to be honest with you, 100%, without her, I wouldn't even do YouTube, because she's the one that actually gave me the idea to start a YouTube channel. I would write poetry. I mean, I was a lyrical genius. I would have these prophetic dreams, and I would share with her, and I would kind of like write, you know, just to keep record of it. Then I would like tell people, write it on YouTube, I mean on Facebook. And she said that, you know, you're a good writer, why don't you and you also like to film movies and stuff, why don't you go ahead and do YouTube? And I was like, it was like a light that just went in my head, like, and that's when I just started YouTube. I mean, one of my first videos was a hamster that me and her had, and then her son. We took care of that thing. It was nice to have that pet around. Well, pets. The second one video I had, this was like 7 years ago. Really, this was like, I'd start having like these dreams like maybe 2010, around there, and I just did YouTube around like maybe 2013 probably. Me slapping my friend with a glove, with a leather glove on his head. And I mean, it was funny because he got mad, but it was like some more comical stuff on my YouTube. And then like I started having these prophetic dreams and stuff. So I kind of put all that together. It's comedy, entertainment, then edification and entertainment, all that together. So, and by the way, the guy that I slapped on his head, I mean, we used to joke around so much. He's actually Danny's Goki's cousin. And it turned out to be true. Like, a lot of people say things, but no, this is legit. My friend Ron, cool guy, man. Like, that's my dude, man, for real. He was a cool guy. That's Danny's Goki's cousin, and I seen Danny Goki too. He's a cool guy too, at a concert a couple of years ago. I got that on my channel too. I'll keep record of a lot of stuff. In the process of liking the lady that I was living with around 2010, I also made another friend, and me and her was already close, that we was going to start working things out together. So I started liking her, and then I was also like being in love with the woman that I was living with. So really, I was balancing two women at the same time. It do sound bad, but it kind of gets worse, because number one, I wasn't honest between the two. I would be intimate with her at her house when she finally got her home, but then I would go back home later on and do something with her. So it was like I was doing this, trying to keep them a little bit separate, but at the same time doing this. Now, to be fair, I was like, okay, why don't you just meet each other? Just, you know, hey, my friend, and this is what I'm living with, and I would just hide things from the two. And at the time, I was so nervous. I tried to call every guy on my phone to just talk, because I'm like, I don't know, I should have actually stopped. And I knew God was telling me, be honest with everything that you're doing. Don't lie. Be real with them, because I know that in the future I was going to break somebody. But I ignored what God was telling me, and I knew He was keep giving me chances, and I was like, okay, later, but not right now. It was just really wrong on my end, because I was balancing these two women, and it was like I was playing with their hearts. To be honest with you, I wasn't, but to them it was, and I didn't mean for that ever to happen. I didn't. It was like I was having a threesome, but they were in separate rooms, to be honest with you. So the truth came out when they started talking to each other about me. And as I got home, the lady that I was living with, the one that I love or claimed to be in love with, it was more of an emotional attachment. So, I mean, I did whatever I can to keep her happy, but at the same time I wasn't, and she wasn't either, because lying for so long, you're not looked at as a saint anymore. And I would try to do what I can to cover it up. And I know that whatever was done in the dark will come to light. And at that moment, the light was shown on me. And when she came home, I knew for certain that my life was going to change, because she looked at me and she fell on her knees. She started crying. And I was like, it was like I blamed myself for not being honest. It was so weird because I knew what I was supposed to do, but I didn't do it because I wanted my cake and ice cream too. And so they both had a meeting with me, like I was at a job interview, and they would tell me the things that I'd done to my face, and I couldn't even look at them. I couldn't look at them. I just had my head down in shame. I never felt as guilty as I did that day. I mean, before, cheating on a test in school, but this time was different. This was more of an emotional attachment that was breaking. It was a trust that was being destroyed that moment. Something that I was supposed to build, like a legacy or an empire, was just clashing on me, and that was built out of pride. Stones of greed, rocks and wood of deception. And that was all falling down upon me. It was just collapsing right before my feet. And I was laid bare because I was dishonest. And they forgave me. And those ladies did not deserve to be put in that situation. It was like I was just playing with their hearts, and not intentionally that I was doing that, but from their perspective I was, because I wasn't honest. It was just hard for me to really pick the woman that I actually loved. But to be honest with you, with my actions, I wasn't showing that I was loving them, because love would be honest. Love would be truthful, would be faithful. And I did the exact opposite. I was getting something from them, intimacy, sexually, but it never did please my heart, because I was still living a deceptive life. I was still lying to both of them. I'm not doing this, we're just friends. And going back saying the same thing, I'm not doing this, we're just friends. I will go back and forth to the point where I was just tired of it. And I just said, God, help me make the right decision, because I don't know what to do. I said that. And months later, my friend not the one that I was staying with, but the other friend, she moved on. Beautiful kids, wonderful husband. And I was happy. I was kind of hurt because she left, but I was happy. But then I was with the one that I was staying with. And I was like, I can finally, merge our plans together and have this together. And I knew that it was like too late. It was like, why all of a sudden now? And I would do so much to just get her attention, but I knew that her heart wasn't right with me because of all the stuff that happened. And trust me, when you are hurting someone for so long, it's like you feel so void of that person, so numb. And that's exactly what she felt for me. And I couldn't blame her. I mean, a beautiful woman, an awesome woman. These women were awesome in all that they did. And people make mistakes, whatever, but then again, they didn't deserve that from me. So some years down the line, we had to separate homes. And so like months later, came back to see her on Christmas. And it's a check on how things going, and she told me some news that no man wants to hear. And especially when someone that you're supposed to be honest and truthful with, and supposed to be growing in love and mature, a godly relationship, and it was like all of a sudden I want to do that now. But it was like I should have done that in the very beginning. All the times I meant her, all these little promises and stuff, and this and that, it was just lies. It was just because I didn't know how to be a man in a relationship. I know how to be a single person, but involved with someone, I didn't know that because no man ever taught me this. I learned bitter advice from heartbroken men, things that I was not supposed to hear, and that was all that I was getting. As people taught me, family members taught me how to be responsible and independent, and that was A plus. But when it comes to being relational, about trust, man, I didn't know what that was. I didn't. It was like I was a lion. I was a lion, like a mean old lion, the Wizard of Oz lion. At the same time, I was also lying to people who I'm supposed to love. So when I received that bad news from her, and I knew that it was like a breaking point in my life, that it was something that you did not want to hear. And that's when she actually got cool with someone else that was not me. Got close to someone else that was not me. And that was a natural thing. It wasn't out of bitterness. It wasn't out of envy or jealousy or playing get back. When a man steps up and shows another man's woman that he's doing better, he has his life straight, and he's faithful, and that they're just really friends, again, in the beginning, that was a threat to me. But it's like what I was fearing in the relationship finally came to pass, and that was it. And I cried so hard. I remember the day. I remember like the time. I remember the exact location where I was, and I was broken. I mean, I started crying out of my nose. It was that bad. Like, I was beyond depressed, like beyond that, because the woman that I was supposed to love, the one that I was living with at the time, well, before that, I knew there was an end to it. And she gave me so many chances, to be honest. She gave me so much advice to just listen. She told me, just listen, just sit down, just listen. Don't beat yourself up, just listen. Only thing that she really wanted was a friendship out of me, and I didn't give her that. And the look that she gave me, she was so sorry for me. She was so sorry for me. The last moment I cried like that, I was maybe 8 years old when I got beat. Like, I got lit off. Jesus. Have you like ever had a whooping so bad where it's like, like, I had those, and that was when I got a whooping from like acting up in school. Like, I was like Dennis the Menace, but with this skin complexion. Dennis the Menace never got disciplined. I did, times 30. But that moment was just it was a broken period in my life, and I knew that I would never be the same again after that. I would never be the same after that, because that was it was a sad moment in my life, but I deserved that. And I would try to win her back, man. I would try to win her back. Like, it's like the things that I should have done in my relationship, I started doing, but it was too late. Though she's seen it, when someone is hurting for so long, they need time to heal. I didn't give her that. I was all of a sudden chasing her as if I was a rat and she was cheese. I needed time alone. I needed to reflect on what I needed to start doing. And it was pity on me. I pitied myself because I should have learned these things. My first relationship advice video was friendly versus flirting. I spoke about that because I was both. I was friendly, and then I was flirting with other women. Even when I was involved with the lady that I was living with, I would still flirt with other women because I was just getting the attention out of nowhere. I mean, besides the looks and the ethnicity, the culture, whatever, and it was like women would just come to me, and I was just like, just cool with them, you know what I'm saying, just do whatever I can behind, you know what I'm saying, the woman that I said I was loving behind her back. To be honest with you, man, it's like you can't just love out of feelings, you gotta love out of actions. And so when it came to all these relationship advice videos, these were things that I learned from, things that I should have done. craving and starving, this was something that I did to her. She was seeking my attention and my love, and it was my attention was given out to other people, to other women that really didn't care about me. They just wanted something from me. Some were cool, some were faithful, but I really should have been honest with myself first. It's easy for a man, it's easy for some women, some men to open up a woman's legs, but not their mind. The mind is the most powerful tool, but the legs, it can be so seductive. And that's something that we will always feed into it, because it's there for us. We're getting pleased from it. But with a closed mind and an open leg, it's dangerous. An open mind first, then an open heart. And legs comes later. I know what I'm saying right now may be a shocker to you. And when I was hurt, man, I lost. At that time, I'm 6'4", but at that time I was about maybe like 270, 260, massive, and I lost about like maybe 60 pounds, and I was like 220. I was very thin. I was very thin. So skinny. Because I was hurt, and the only thing I wanted was my woman back. I just wanted another chance. But I had to learn how to actually develop a friendship first. Even though I did, I just rushed into it, and it wasn't her fault. It was all me. Especially when someone is so curious about a family, so curious about relationships. Even though I'm not married, even though I don't have no one, even though I don't have any kids, I look at that stuff now like I should have did what I was supposed to. I had the confidence to just come on here and just share this with you, because I knew that I was going to. I knew that I had to. I knew that I wanted to. I needed to. And the reason why I'm telling you this, because so you don't do what I do. You can tell that a lot of guys have been going through stuff like this, because especially when there's no father around, they have to learn how to be one on themselves. And sometimes fear is a great motivator to the weak. When we start receiving bad news in life, and we have to learn how to toughen up quick. But then when there is no guidance, no direction, no godly men in the household, we have to learn things on our own. When I was locked up back in 2003 and 2004, there were so many men, and the majority of them were black men. And still to this day, the majority of men in prison is still black men. And I look around me right now in the northwest side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so many babies are being born, beautiful babies, and I look at them like, where's the fathers? Who's going to teach that boy how to become a man? Who's going to teach that girl the values of manhood? So when she get in a relationship, she will know the signs of someone that's cheating, someone that's lying. How she's going to learn about to be secured and not being insecure. To be honest with you, the heartbroken moments is sometimes the best. And that's one of the reasons why I made the other video called Beautifully Broken. Because I was broken, but beauty came from it. It was hard. It was very hard, but that's when God was so close to me that I can actually hear him speak to me. I was able to see things in dreams and in visions. It's him showing his heart to me. I remember crying. That whole year, those months at work, I was crying at work. I tried to hide my tears from coworkers. People knew what was wrong with me because they seen I was thin. I was so weak that I couldn't even lift up a chair. I could lift up a chair with the leg with one hand, but I couldn't even lift up a chair with all my strength. I was that weak. And she was not to blame. She wasn't. It's like I should never have done those things, man. I should, especially to someone that been through something already and didn't deserve it. She deserved best. But then again, being dishonest, selfish, untrustworthy, unfaithful. Don't no women deserve that. And I can tell you the truth. Me doing that stuff to women, well, to her and the other lady, wasn't worth it, man. In the end, I became broke. So I start to building up my confidence by exploring things, trips around the city, things that I haven't visited, festivals, concerts, entertainment, events, taking up classes, martial arts stuff. And I was like just kind of getting back to what I used to do. And to be honest with you, it was like coverings, and it just slid right off. I would use those ways, those things of me trying to go here and going there, in the process of me being broken, as a covering. When Adam and Eve, when they heard God was coming, walking in the cool of the day, they hid from God and they start to knit together, the leaves and stuff to cover up their parts. They was covering themselves, and it did not mean nothing. So all those times I was spending money, those early years, me being heartbroken, just going to here, going there. And I would still go back home feeling the same way as if it was when I was broken on Christmas. And so after those 2 years, I stopped and was like, man, what am I doing? I'm just wasting my money trying to get a quick healing, trying to get a quick fix. And it wasn't worth it. I've been hearing this, people saying, you move on and this and that, whatever. And it's like, to be honest with you, it's easy for someone to move on. It can be easy, but when you are so connected with somebody, you don't want to move on. You want to get back. Not in the way of revenge, but get back to where you was, so that broken period can be an open period, and that you can start developing and reestablish a great pillar in a relationship, and that's start with trust and communication. There are so much pillars in life, so much relationship advice that we can take and give, but we all have our own story to share, and this is my sharing right now, my moment of sharing. I only told a few women about this later when women came around I was just friends with and stuff, and I would share them this. I was so open to it because I didn't want them to undergo like this sort of problem from men. I didn't. That's why I was so honest about myself. I became honest like very late. I just didn't want women to be hurt again, because I know how it is to hurt someone. You don't even have to be physical. It's just to break somebody with mistrust. Now, I used to just look ahead of her life and just do this, or you change this right here or that right there and stuff. And some of that stuff was probably guided by a right heart, dealing with the fact that this is a dangerous world. But then again, I didn't develop a relationship or a right communication with her. I didn't. Like I said, it was like I was a lion, I was a leader, but it felt like I was a tyrant, nemesis, like a dictator. And of course, her son didn't deserve that, to see that either. Always arguing and stuff, and it kind of reminded me of my childhood. I definitely didn't want to repeat my father's mistakes, but I was close to being there. I was. And there was no one to blame. I couldn't blame my parents. Couldn't blame nobody. Because this was all my doings. Like, even though God sees the mistakes, He will quickly whisper in your ear what to do and what not to do. And I just like, nah, I'm good. I got it. I can take care of myself. I know what to do. And to the point where I was crying out to Him in repentance, confessing my sins, confessing my wrongness, mistreating someone that was innocent. So with all those coverings that I was doing, I look back at it now, and I thank God for giving me these opportunities to actually go out and explore. But the mistake that I did was doing it without Him. I should have done it with Him. But then it became a lot better, me getting to know who I am personally, getting to know who God is in my life, and not just claiming, you know, he's God or he's my father, but really living it out. And so whatever I did, I was doing it with him. Future plans, traveling or this or that, and doing it with him. I've been like, I don't really keep record of myself of what I'm doing, just whenever I'm like self-reflecting on things. And I even became like a counsel or whatever, but like there was a point where there was a married woman that was close to getting a divorce, and she wanted to come to my house. I was like, I don't know. And I'm like, let's go somewhere in public and we'll spend hours talking about a relationship, and I'll pray for her, man, because I did not want divorces. I didn't. Like, if I know how it is to just, you know, be broken from a relationship and it wasn't even marriage, I can tell that a divorce after almost like 9-10 years from this person, it was going to be a heartbroken moment, a bad moment even for the kids. And after talking and praying and stuff, like within a couple of days later, she's not getting a divorce, and her marriage been happy since. Any man with the wrong heart could have easily manipulated that circumstances and then, you know, caused her to actually commit adultery. I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to lie and do stuff behind someone's back, or telling white lies or keeping secrets. And there was this video that I did. It was called Cheats, Lies, and Secrets. All that stuff was from exactly what I did. And it was like, I should have did this in the beginning. And even though God was just whispering it to me, just take time to listen to her. Don't judge her. Don't condemn her. Don't criticize her. Just listen to her. Don't cheat. Don't lie. Don't keep secrets. Be honest with her. I just did me. I did what I wanted to do. I got myself in trouble. Even the word pride. Look at the word pride, and the middle is I, because it's all about you. Then that pride breaks down. It's like in the middle of the word I, and anxiety. That's exactly what you would feel when you have too much pride and it breaks down. It starts to just collapse right before your feet. So that's why I gave up these relationship advice videos, because I know that you're going to benefit from it. And it's not me, but there's other men that does the same thing. Other women also give advice too. But I know that this was coming from the heart. All the relationship advice videos I did was coming from the heart. Was something I have done the opposite, and I've seen the results of that outcome. I've seen the results of that, and that was corruption. And I knew that you didn't want to face the fact that you're going to face your consequences. And that's what I did. That in the end, I was broken from all the stuff that I've done. And God's seen all that stuff. He's seen the things that I did in secret. He's seen all of it. I just didn't pay attention to his warnings. I hope what I said helps you in the long run, for you both, men and women. I mean, even with movies, still some of the Tyler Perry movies would teach you the same thing about, you know, lies and secrets and honesty. And he's one of my favorite directors and writers. And just his movies would just really teach you things about relationships. I want the best for all of you. And even though this happened years ago, the pain can stay with you in a way of remembering what you've done so you don't do it to no one else. And it leaves a story. Every scar has a story. But what Satan wants to do is that he wants to rewind the timeline of your brokenness and cause that to hurt you in which you'll start to hurt yourself. You will remember, if you can remember those who hurt you, don't be too quick to judge, because maybe at some point in time in your life you also hurt others. And that's just the humility of learning about things in relationships, especially yourself, because I was definitely not perfect. But I'd rather expose myself before I expose anybody else. That's why I kept names and pictures out of it. Only thing you see is just basically from myself. That's all. We all done something wrong in our life. We all have. So again, don't just learn from your mistakes, learn from others. As you take this with you, I want you to continue to be faithful. And if you are in a relationship and you are doing wrong, you can change. Because like me, it was late. Something I should have done earlier. So don't get to the point where you think you got time in your hands and you don't. Only God do. And just like time, all things will end. So the time that you have now, do right by it. Those that you love in relationships, those that, be honest with them. Whatever secretive things you've done against that person, every white lie, be honest and be open first. An open heart is better than a closed one. I love you all. I want you to take care of yourselves.